Hey, you're just in time. Let's jam. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Scott. Welcome to episode 7 of Let's Jam, what is quickly becoming the greatest, sparsely released Cowboy Bebop podcast. As I said, my name is Scott. I'm hanging out here with Ollie. Hi, Ollie.
Hey, how's it going? Again, just to remind you folks listening, watching, entertainment first before accuracy. So this might be episode 7. I don't know, but as long as you're laughing at us, you're having fun. Yeah, I got no complaints. That's all we
I'm
want you to be.
I'm pretty sure it's episode 7 because today we're tackling sessions 13 and 14 of Cowboy Bebop. So based on multiples and math, that would make this theoretically episode 7. But I won't know until I look at the file and, make the episode and the edits. So like I said, today we're going to be covering Jupiter Jazz Part 2, Waltz with Jupiter Part 2. Why do I keep thinking Jupiter Jazz?
Because there was an episode like that. There's an episode with the waltz, and then on Jupiter there was a jazz something episode, right? Same, different.
Okay, so I'm not bonkers too
No.
much.
It's either you're not bonkers or we're both bonkers. So,
Hang on. Let me pull up the session list because now this is going to drive me nuts. Sit tight, folks. We'll be right back. Okay, so I'm not wrong. It turns out it is Jupiter Jazz, Part 1 and 2.
I thought it was.
You're
Waltz.
thinking of Waltz with Venus.
Oh my god.
So this
is Jupiter Jazz.
This is Jupiter Jazz, not Waltz with Jupiter. So
Listeners, do not do drugs. We condone it. It's bad for you. It's really bad for you. Okay?
Also, make sure you're getting enough sleep because I know that I have not been getting enough sleep.
Drink your water. Get enough sleep. Right? Eat your veggies. Yes. It's even in the show notes. Fucking edit this right now. Jupiter Jazz. There you go.
So
there we go.
Ollie's going to be covering this episode, and I'll be taking care of the next episode called Bohemian Rhapsody. So Ollie, why don't you go ahead and take us out with Jupiter Jazz.
Jupiter Jazz, not Waltz with
Part
Jupiter.
2.
I got it. So last episode, I think we left with a cliffhanger when Faye and Gren were in his apartment. Faye snuck up on Gren taking a shower just to be shocked that he has both lady and man bits.
Mm-hmm.
And then it cuts. So
well, he's highly coded as being transgender, and this is what we talked a lot about this in the last episode about how this is the first first transgender representation of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Now, so the episode starts with a recap from part 1. Like the key moments. Spike meeting up with Vicious and Lynn, getting shot, blah blah blah. So the episode after the recap, it pans out to Spike lying down on the snow. We don't know if Buddy bit the dust, which is highly unlikely because we're not done with it. We kind of need this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then now you're gonna see a flashback, right? So I'm gonna call Gren Kenny G because he has a saxophone.
Sure,
Kenny
that's
Gren,
a good name.
Kenny Gren. So it went to a flashback where Gren was in the same squad in Titan with Vicious. So they go way back. Now, he starts talking about their life, their fights, and then you would see Vicious holding a music box. Now, the music box is playing a very familiar tune. Now, Gren asked Vicious, what's the name of the song? So we don't know if it's actually Julia, because that's all Vicious said, Julia.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just going to assume the name of the song is Julia. Grant says, oh, sounds really good. Do you mind if I play it on the saxophone when I get home? So Vicious, being vicious, so cold, calm. Hate this guy.
Spooky.
Yeah. Sits down, and then Grant tried to lay back. Suddenly, Vicious grabbed him by the head and thrust a knife in his general direction.
Well, the way the camera shot, it looks like the knife went right like into his head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I don't understand is like, buddy, you can just grab him, push him away.
Nope.
But no,
No, not for Vicious.
no. Grab you by the head, stab close to your ear, and stabs a scorpion, cuts it in half.
That was pretty badass.
It's badass, but it's so uncalled for. Like, come on, man.
Oh, 100%.
Use your words, dog.
Use your words. If there's one thing we know about Vicious, is he is a man of very few words.
Oh, I feel like he treats words like currency. Come on, man. So Gren gets it, like, oh, okay, he just saved me from that scorpion. Like, getting stung in the face is not a good time. So now we see the music box in Gren's hand. So at this point in the episode, they haven't said like how that ended up with him. So Gren winds up the music box and it starts playing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on the background, you can hear Gren says that as soon as the war is over, when he got home, he was sent to prison.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently it was Vicious that testified against him.
Which seems a little it's unexpected, and
it's
why
very
would
weird.
Why would he testify against him if they served together?
Like, with what motive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't really have that information. Like, what is Vicious's motive?
Mm-hmm.
Now, apparently, in prison they tested different drugs. I would assume these are narcotics, because, like Ren says, the drugs that they tested on them was highly addictive.
What if? So there's been an underlying story of this entire series so far regarding the red eye compound.
Mm-hmm.
What if what they tested on Gren was like a prototype red eye?
That's what I think.
Because it was prototype, and it almost mirrors the sort of almost mirrors like MK Ultra, where the government tested LSD on all sorts of different people in order to see how it could be used in a wartime setting. And maybe this was a similar situation.
I would say it's possible, but here's the kicker to it. Now, the side effect, he didn't mention specifically what drug was used on the prisoners, right?
Right.
But one thing is for sure. The drugs that were used on them has a side effect that causes extreme hormonal imbalance. Hence his upper lady bits.
Right. And his the slimming of his body, causing his body to transform into a woman's body.
He has feminine features. He developed feminine features because of the hormonal imbalance.
Which is a real thing.
Yeah, that can happen. So this is happening while Gren he's telling this story to Faye.
Yeah.
While he's being held at gunpoint.
Well, as good a time as any.
I mean, like, Buddy went to war.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess, like, Faye holding you at gunpoint is like, okay, this is not my first rodeo. And now Gren tells Faye that you are just, aside from Vicious, you're the only one that I've told this story to. Now, he intends to see Vicious. Then Faye asks why. But like, why are you going to go see Vicious? If you think he's the one who sold you out, he'll probably try to kill you. Right? Obviously, Faye is against it.
Obviously.
But our buddy Gren is not afraid of the Reaper Man. He doesn't have long to live anyway, like he said. We don't know why that is. It could be possibly maybe like the long-lasting effects of the drugs that was tested on it.
So we know that Gren is he's stated as not being into women.
Yeah.
He's saying that women aren't really his style. He's also one of the only people on this moon that has a feminine body.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible? Now, this is just pure speculation, maybe a fan theory here, that Gren may have HIV. Like, if he doesn't have long to live,
it's hard to anything is possible. Like one, this is purely fiction, so
Obviously.
we
It
can't
could
hold
it
that.
could literally be anything.
It could literally be anything.
Yeah.
But I would say that for the sake of that context, he hid his one, there's not really a lot of women on that planet, right?
Hmm.
As verbalized earlier in the previous episode, and it will be confirmed again later on this episode. And two, he disguised himself as a dude, like, completely like blocking out the ladybugs because I'm pretty sure he knows for a fact that if he presents himself as a female and a good looking one, it wouldn't be long
There'd be
before, you
there'd be
know,
problems.
there will be problem.
Yeah.
Just it's up it's up for individual interpreter, but there will be like really, really, really bad problems.
Hmm.
Not the fun one,
Hmm.
the bad one.
Hmm.
Yeah. So now,
Anyway, just a thought.
yeah. So Faye asks, "Why did you bring me to your place?" And Gren answers, "I don't know. Maybe I just need company. Maybe I'm about to die." And then Faye just started unloading shots.
Hmm.
I'm like, this is like one of the many times I kind of frowned upon Faye. Like the man's trying to dialogue.
Yeah.
Come on.
He's open to a conversation. Like he's trying to. Yeah.
He
And your
doesn't
first thought is to unload on him.
not even a warning shot, man. It's like full on unloading on with intent to kill. I'm like, really,
Hmm.
Faye? Now, the scene cuts to Jet looking for Faye in the bar where Gran was playing, right? So
Hmm.
he was holding Faye's picture, and it's a funny
Hmm.
one too. She was like, "Ugh." He's
Yeah.
like derpy in that picture.
Yeah.
And then, hey, have you seen this woman? Oh, I've seen that pretty woman. There's not a lot of pretty good looking women down here. And I feel like Jet is like, huh, if you only
Uh,
knew. If you only knew what this lady is capable of, you
yeah.
wouldn't be saying she's pretty.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, there was the bartender gave us like a bit of a hint.
Hmm.
Like, okay, that lady sat there a couple of days ago and she was talking to Gran and went off. That's where Julia used to sit. So Jet having an
Right.
idea about the word Julia, he was like, Julia? Like, yeah. Julia 2 years ago, like she always goes here. She sits in the same spot and listens to Gran. But 2 years ago she wandered off and disappeared. Now, Jet being, Spike's buddy bud, asked, what kind of woman is Julia? And the only thing he got from the bartender or the barkeep was she was a real woman. So now I'm thinking, I was like, okay, this could be interpreted in so many ways. Like, A, Buddy had some run-ins with not real women, or B,
Well, yeah.
which is a possibility, or B, he means that Julia, in a positive, like, is woman, like
Yeah.
ideal,
Like a real person.
like a
Like,
real, right?
yeah. An honorable person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, after that, I love how like the scene cuts from one to another. Now the scene cuts to Vicious saying, "I'm the only one that can keep you alive and kill you." So me, I'm trying to wrap around who who he's saying this to. And then there's a dialogue. Then I assume this is Julia speaking. Like, oh, you have to be careful around that woman, and women are all liars, and you should be careful. And then
Right.
we hear again, know that when this is over, I'm getting out. I'm gonna go ask Jay, Gren to go, Gren to Julia and ask if you're gonna betray me.
Right.
Scene then pans out to Spike falling off the church. You know that like standoff they had,
Hmm.
and we hear Julia compliments V's eyes. Apparently, I thought under conversation it was V's eyes. It says one eye sees the past and the other, and then no answer. Like all the later of this review, like episode, you would be like, oh, okay, that
See, I always thought that she was referring to Spike.
Spike.
Spike's eyes.
I thought it was vicious.
Like, so if you aren't aware, um, Spike does have a cybernetic eye.
So Spike was the one on the first episode getting the implant.
I guess so.
Because
Maybe?
I always thought it was Vicious who has a cybernetic eye.
No. So a big thing that comes out later in this episode is that something is mentioned about Spike having two different colored eyes.
Yeah, that's later in the episode when Gren, the ship battle.
Right, when Gren shows up.
Yeah,
Something about a man with two different colored eyes.
yeah.
And we'll
So
talk about it more when we get there.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I believe that Julia was referred because
yeah. That confirms it. She
in
can.
his like in Spike's like mind or whatever it is that
Mhm,
she's talking about, she's always talking about how like Spike he always had one eye on the future, one eye on the past, and one
mhm.
eye, and she
We
trails
don't know
off.
where. Yeah.
Exactly.
So so our scene cuts back to Spike lying down in the snow, and then a
Yep.
crow sat on him. Apparently, he was shot with a trank gun.
Which, okay, fair enough. I thought he was just smart enough to wear a bulletproof vest.
You know what's
Like that's
confusing?
why his coat
Like,
was so much bigger.
hey, let's not forget, Vicious and Spike went like out. They were out for each other's blood in that church.
Yep.
Why would he shoot him with a trank gun?
Well, remember,
That's
Vicious didn't shoot him.
Was it Lynn?
Lynn shot him. The guy that was with Vicious
Oh
shot him.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, so he's tranquilized.
Remember how Vicious told him that like you're going to have to betray me?
Hmm.
Maybe that's part of that's part of this.
Okay, now it sheds more light. See, I like having these talks about like previous episodes. Like, okay, shines new
100%.
light to it.
This is
Yeah,
why we do this show
yeah.
because the first time you watch something like a show like this where it's as dense and as there's so many more moving parts than you would expect.
I'm getting
You
paper cut flashbacks, man.
you almost right you
Right?
almost need not need but like having that companion show to watch the show with, or
Hmm.
having that companion thing to watch the show along with, helps to kind of clear things up to make sure that you are getting the best you can out of everything that's going on.
Hmm.
Because in an episode like this, there's a lot that happens, there's a lot that's explained,
Hmm.
but it's really just for the follow up to a drug deal gone bad.
Yeah, basically.
Like, not a lot happens in the episode, but there's so much background and there's so much like subtext that goes
A
on in this
lot,
episode
a lot.
that it'd be really hard for anybody to parse out their first time watching it and then just move on to the next episode.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Now, as we continue, we see Jet walking down the alley
Mm-hmm.
and ask a dude sitting on a crate for directions. Hey, bud, I'm looking for directions. And it's our old buddy who tried to jump Spike
Yeah.
and Faye.
Yep.
And Buddy was like, I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing. I don't want to get involved with foreigners no more. I want a decent job.
I'm gonna go get a job.
And it is the funny thing. I don't know if this happened because, like, after that, Buddy stood up and starts walking away, right? And we see two
Yep.
garbage collection guys, right? And
Yep.
then you can see Jet's face, like, looking out, and he hears Sitara screech. He was like, "Oh no, oh
Oh
no!"
no,
And
does he get
there was a crash. We don't know what happened. If it's Buddy who get rammed by something, but I'm like, oh man, Buddy's trying to get his life straight now.
that would be so dark if that's what happened.
He just gets rammed with
Just
something
gets creamed by a garbage
some
truck.
something moving, something that's fast and heavy, and Jet's facial expression is like, yeah. And then Jet sees the building right in front of him, right across the street where
Yep.
he has Buddy.
Yep.
So now Jet goes on detective mode and starts sneaking inside the building. I'm
Mhm.
surprised how he knew which unit to go in and look for.
Well, doesn't so the guy says something about the building with X, and the building with X is the building that just happened to be across the street from Jet.
No, the blue building.
It was like, yeah, he's like,
Yeah, yeah.
Julia
Oh.
was found in a blue building, or Julia was living in a blue building or something.
Hmm. You think Julia lived with Gren at some point?
Well, we're gonna get to that.
Okay. Now this is what I like, revelations. Okay, let's continue.
Yeah.
We see Spike and his swordfish. That's his ship, right?
Yep.
He's looking for the red ship, but the encryption is ancient as per him. So with all this advanced technology, let's not forget he has a tool that reads your brain,
Yep.
identifies your diseases, and then
Yep.
can make a world-ending bullet out of a
Yep.
ring.
Yep.
He can't decrypt this.
Well,
I'm like,
mob
really?
tech.
Like, really? Really? You can't? Yeah, sure. Very underwhelming, sir.
Yeah.
Now, the funny thing is, Spike got a call from Jet. And as
Yep.
we know, last episode,
They're broken up.
he bolted out, right?
Yep.
Saying that he has a lead on Gren, codename Julia.
Yeah. So that's where that comes from.
Yeah, so that was the one they intercepted. Then
Mhm.
apparently Gren is the one that escaped from a military prison with a big bounty on his head.
Mm-hmm.
So like you know that the show on TV? But
Yep.
the cowboy?
Big shots. Big shots.
Big shots. Because like the bounty on his head is ending, right? So
Yep.
he really has to get him. So Jet says, if you get him, I'll let you back on.
Yep.
Right?
If you get Gren.
Now, Gren receives a call saying, I see you. I'll meet you up top of the roof. But Gren says he'll send a woman.
Yep.
This is really smart. Because I was thinking, is he going to send Faye? Faye's like cuffed on the bed. I don't know what happened there, but it seems like Faye's not even mad.
Nope. She knows she's been bested.
She's not even mad.
Nope.
My imagination was playing.
Sometimes it just takes game to recognize. Sometimes game just recognizes game.
Not mad. We know Faye's always mad.
They don't like to get caught though.
She's not even pissed. Anyways, moving along. Jet says, so we cut back to Jet, pinning Faye on the bed, cuffed. Not cuffed on the bed. She was just cuffed behind her back. Saying that Faye was like, did you come here to save me? And Jet, I don't know what he's thinking, but he was just, I want my money back. So, you know how these things always bring them back together?
Yep.
And then Faye asks, who is this Julia? And she has a big hold on Spike, and then it cuts. Now, the scene shows a Bebop and then I'm snooping around. And
literally at this point, I remember thinking to myself, so all this is going on. What are Ed and Nine been up to?
Yeah.
And then it cut to them being on the ship.
I don't know why Ed would line up all the food, and I'm just like, Ed is like, I want souvenirs, come back.
Yeah.
All right. So the trade happens on the roof. So Gren drops a sack of the stuff. Apparently it's red eye, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Lynn plops down a case. So apparently they do test the red eye to see if it's like pure. So apparently the grade is like XX, and that means it's legit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the currency that Gren is getting paid with, I'm not sure if this is a currency, Titan Opal.
Okay.
So, as we know, Titan is the name of the militia or military group that they were in.
Well, Titan was where the battle happened.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. And Titan Opal, are they fighting over this resource? I guess they are.
Maybe they were. Maybe that had to do with the battle on Titan, and that's when they were all in the same military group together. Because like the way it sounds, like, so just to sort of chart this out, Vicious and Gren were in the same military group together. I don't remember, but I think Spike also fought in that battle.
Because I remember the flashbacks, they were not in uniform when Spike and Vicious were fighting together, right?
So in that case then, so after the war, Vicious got involved with the mafia, with the cartels.
That seems to be the case.
And that's where he met Spike, and they fought together. They were partners.
Oh, so Gren and Vicious go way back longer than
Yes,
Spike and Vicious.
correct. Um,
Okay.
Lynn probably, Spike also probably knows Lynn, who
He
is
knows
the other
Lynn.
gentleman.
That's
He
confirmed.
knows
He knows Lynn.
Lynn probably from those days as well.
I think Lynn is
From
but
those days in the
Lynn is
Syndicate.
not with Titan.
Nope.
He
Lynn, he
wasn't a soul.
probably knows from the Syndicate as well.
Okay, that connects all the dots.
So, but when Spike and Vicious were injured in a fight, they were both taken care of by Julia, by a woman,
You know what? It's
who then
confirmed
decided that she wanted to be with Vicious instead of him.
because it's evident that Vicious and Julia go way back longer than Spike and Julia. Because
Okay.
because Vicious already knows Julia when he was still a soldier in the war with Gren, right?
Right.
With the music box.
Right.
So they'll go way back.
So
Okay.
it's possible that Spike, when Spike was being taken care of by Julia,
Hmm.
and maybe they hooked up or something, she was already with Vicious at the time. And maybe Vicious brought Spike to Julia after that fight or whatever it was.
Possibly. Wow. Connecting the dots, eh?
Feels good.
Yeah. Now, back to the scene. After the trade, Vicious says, "Send Gren his regards." And then
Hmm.
Gren, he was wearing this robe, so you can see his lady bit. So obviously a woman. He looks like a woman.
Hmm.
Gren says, "You saved me from that scorpion back then, yet you lied and sold me down the river." Vicious looked back. He was like, "Oh, oh." So Gren kicks the case. Apparently, it was rigged with a bomb. I'm
Hmm.
surprised how Gren had that instinct that this is going to be rigged. So he kicks the bomb towards Vicious. It goes off, and then Spike on the ground sees explosion from the rooftop. Gren mentions that he never asked when he got the music box from Vicious as a gift. Apparently, you know that scene when we see Gren
Hmm.
holding it, and then when Gren met up with Julia, he told her about the music box he got from Vicious and told him to open it up, check it out. Apparently, there was a solar transmitter to track him down and Julia. And Julia
Hang
was
on.
the one.
So in the music box,
There's a
when
transmitter. When
Gren
Julia
got
found out
okay,
that it's from Vicious, because Gren
okay,
talked about the music box, oh, it's from Vicious. And she was like, oh no, open it up, dog. So I think at that point, there was a rift between Gren and Julia
okay.
because she had that idea to open up the music box, and they did find a transmitter there. So Grant holds a gun towards Vicious. Julia did this when okay, this is what Julia did. It's on the part of the music box when Grant mentioned to her that it's from Vicious. And asked Vicious. Grant asked Vicious if you're trying to kill me again. So I guess the first time was like, when he slid the case.
So just to be clear, Vicious did not respond to Gren when he said that you are the one who sold me up the river. Vicious still tried to kill Gren
Hmm.
with the bomb box,
Hmm.
and will continue to try and kill Gren for some reason. And in the music box that that was gifted to Gren by Vicious, there was a transmitter inside the
Hmm.
music box,
Hmm.
which Gren learned about when he met Julia.
Yep.
Okay. Why was there a transmitter in the music box? What did the transmitter do? Like, what was the purpose of it?
I would say Vicious sold out Grant.
Right.
That's a
Why?
fact. I
Do
don't
we
know.
ever find out?
No,
Okay.
doesn't say. But I feel like it might have something to do with the syndicate.
Or it might have something to do with Julia?
But how would Vicious know that eventually Gren and Julia would meet?
Well, maybe that's what the transmitter was.
Possibly. Fair. Right now, I got a lot of speculations now.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, Gren started unloading on Vicious, but Vicious is like, I don't know how people in this world, in Bebop world, they dodge bullets like this.
They do a really good job dodging bullets.
Do you know how fast those things are? They just
Very.
like,
Yep.
I was like,
Superman is literally faster than a speeding bullet. Like that's one of his things.
are these guys like Formula One drivers? Like their reaction time is just like,
Hey, clearly.
anyway.
Maybe.
So Grant started unloading, and then Lynn started yelling, like, Vicious, watch out. So Lynn dove and took a hit.
Hmm.
And it's just sad. After Lynn took a hit, Spike flies over in his swordfish, and Vicious says, there's nothing in the world to believe in. Because Grant believed in Vicious. He looked up to him back
Yep.
then, right?
Yeah.
And now,
So at this point, Gren's been shot down.
mm-hmm.
Yep.
Spike starts shooting V and says Lynn died protecting him, but he said Lynn died protecting the Order. So I guess this is his loyalty is within this organization now.
The Order. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm sure we're going to learn more about eventually.
Yeah. And then out of nowhere, Gren just have a ship hanging around close, and he joined the dogfight between Vicious and Spike.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Also, how cool is Vicious's ship?
he has missiles.
It kind of looks like a cross between Faye's and Spike's ships.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
It has the heat-seeking missiles.
Yeah.
So when Gren joined the dogfight between Spike and Vicious, he fired 2 missiles. Gren got hit by one, kind of messing up one of his wings, and then the other one was still after him. Spike shot the other missile.
Yep.
So now they're going at it. Gren's ship is kind of out of commission, so he had to land, and then Spike and Gren started going at it. But then again, Spike got a hit. No, the music box started playing. So the music box was inside the sack of Red Eye.
Oh, what?
Yeah, it started playing, and then it blew up. Now I'm surprised. It blew up on the wing. I was like, okay, what did he do when he got on the ship? Did he just like, oh, I'm gonna put this in the compartment and then get on the ship? If that was me, I'm not stopping. We're in the cockpit. Let's go. So it blew one of the wing.
Yeah.
And Spike was after him. But even though Vicious's ship is kind of, screwed up, he still managed to land in the red ship. So
yep.
It's a smart move by Spike not to go after him because he's obviously outgunned.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, after that, Spike decides to land where Gren's ship crashed or, landed. And he sees Gren on the ground and asking where Julia is. That's the first thing he asks. Now, Gren is bleeding. And he asks Spike to be put back in the ship. And he wants to get into the Titan as the last blaze of glory.
Mm-hmm.
Spike obliges. He helps him out. And then Gren says, oh, I get it now. You're Spike.
Right, because they weren't introduced, or they were never introduced until that point.
No, they weren't.
Yeah.
So, okay, you're Spike, the one that Julia always talks about.
Yeah.
Oh, it was Spike's eyes that were different, not Vicious, because apparently Julia says when Spike has different eyes and we look at you, it feels different. And then he asked Gren, where did you meet Julia? Oh, in the bar, at the stool on the end. She always comes in, asks for the same song to be played every time she was there.
Mm-hmm.
So now, Gren wanted to go to Titan.
Yep.
He says, no, you're not going to make it. Well, I don't have long to live anyway. If anything, I'd rather die trying. So Spike, being a bro, just towed Gren to orbit.
Mm-hmm.
And for his blaze of glory, Spike took a final look and peeled off. Jet back on the Bebop sees Spike and asks Spike, what are you bringing? Spike says nothing. Then Jet, being homeboy, says like, get in, we're taking off.
Yep.
And then the scene cuts to Faye lying on the couch, so curious about Julia.
Yep.
Then Ed asks, where do you guys go? something, says someplace very good.
Yeah.
Why did I get left out?
Yeah. Maybe someday we'll tell
Someday
you.
we'll tell you. And it's all good. I don't give a toot. And
Yeah.
proceeds to color face toes, but with blue. Says face has anything but blue.
Yeah.
And then we go back to start of episode of part one about the old man and the young boy talking about a falling star. Now, if you would look at the ending of this scene, it's not your usual closing credits.
Right.
Yeah. And then on the
So
very end,
just to be
yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
yeah, yeah, go for it.
So just to say then that like we're ending the episode with the
On this
replay
arc,
of the first episode with Laughing Bull telling
yeah,
the story
Laughing Bull, that's his name. Yeah,
to his son.
yeah. And then on the end of the credits, it says, "Do you have comrades?"
Right. Yes. So that's the thing. Like, so this, as we discussed previously, this episode doesn't have the Sea of Space Cowboy at the end,
No.
and it doesn't have the same ending. It has its own ending credits.
Yeah.
It doesn't cut to black and then go to the typical end credits. It kind of has like a scrolling end credit, like you'd see in a movie, which kind of leads me to think that these two episodes, if watched like back to back with no opener and no cut, would make for a pretty good Cowboy Bebop OVA. Like could almost be a
Extend it a
movie.
bit, make it 90
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like an arc into itself. It's like the
It does. Well, because at the beginning we think that Laughing Bill's referring to Spike. We think that he's referring to Spike based on what we know of Spike's past so far. But at the end, it's clear that he's referring to Gren.
Yeah.
And it's the kind of episode that very much loops in on itself, and it feels really good. It's the kind of story that they probably could have done in one episode, but it's really good that they did it as a two-parter.
Like a super cut. They can do that.
Yeah. They wouldn't have been able to give as much texture and show as much backstory. And I hope we get to see a few more two-parters before the end, but we'll see.
I hope we do.
Do you have anything more to say about Jupiter Jazz Part 2?
I kind of like Jupiter Jazz Part 1 and 2. It's pretty good. I mean, it's shown a lot of light. Let's say, it's not a big role that Jet played, but you see his human side. Like, I think in some degree, Jet kind of cares about Faye.
Oh, yeah.
And I think Faye feels... Now, I would assume that she really feels bad being a piece of work towards the boys of the Bebop, right? I mean, the boys always bail her out, and she just kind of screws them over, but they just still takes her open arms, right?
Well, they do work together, and we do start to see that, especially in this next episode. So I'm going to go ahead and dig into it.
Yeah, go for it.
Great. So we're going to dig in to session 14, Bohemian Rhapsody. So it's a hard open after the OP to the Bebop team wrestling up some grunts. Allegedly about 20 of them in all. Now we don't actually know why they're doing this yet, and the exposition for the episode is long, heavy, and a bit thicker than you might expect. Like there's a lot that is going into this episode. So Gate Corp is flooded with complaints of people losing their entire life savings while they're using their products. Now Gate Corp is the company that makes the space gates that the teams pass through all the time.
Right.
For FTL travel. So when people are going through hyperspace, they're losing their entire life savings. And so it turns out, and so in order to protect their reputation as a form of PR and managing their situation, they put out a 12 million Wulong bounty on whoever is messing with the gates, but they're not going to pay out the bounty until the mastermind is found. meaning that all of the work that the Bebop team just did in order to round up all of these goons
Yeah. Was not
essentially
paid.
got them nothing. And in this section, you do see that Faye is working more with the Bebop team on this. She's not doing her own thing. They're working on this together as a common goal. Now, around here, we also get Big Shot segment, which again is perfect for exposition, which kind of explains a little bit of that. So they return to the ship to complain about. All this, and it's Ed who asks them if they have any info or clues. And all they were able to find on each of them was a white king chess piece. That's the only lead they were able to find. It was found on each of the criminals. So Faye did want to work on this one by herself, but she realizes that she can't collect all the money for herself. But when she realizes that she actually can't get much further, she decides that they should each team up and share the information they have. Now, each were able to pull a different amount of information from their goons, but each of them was able to pull a very important piece of the puzzle. And again, this is where we're seeing a bit more of that exposition. So Jed explains that each hijacking was done in the exact same way. They hacked the toll booth and drained each ship's funds as it passed through the gate. The hacking unit used then sent the money through a bunch of laundered transactions with the final destination of a secure account on Europa. And all of the hijackers that were caught seemed to have absolutely nothing in common. Now, Faye explains that each hijacker was found to be following a manual printed from a website that no longer exists. And Spike explains that the hacking devices were all used by someone were invented by someone who has a real intimate knowledge of how the gate systems work and thinks that it points to Gate Corp, actually knowing what is happening and not doing anything about it. So in this first 5 minutes, we've basically set the scene for a really, really cool mystery. And that's kind of where the show really thrives, is in creating these mystery situations for our team to figure out together.
You know what's a real life equivalent of this?
What's that?
Whenever I fuel up gas, I don't use a card reader on the gas pump itself.
You go in and you pay.
I go in and I pay.
Okay. This would be the same sort of thing if somebody hacked a gas terminal.
There's a lot of cases in Canada about those things.
Is that a thing that's been more prevalent?
Oh, dude, it's been going on for years.
Huh.
Call me a psycho, but if I don't have a choice, use the terminal there, I give it a good wobble.
Okay.
So
what you're saying is that I need to invest in a card skimmer.
No, dude, we're not the bad guys. Come on. No.
Anyways, will not invest in a card skimmer.
I feel like those the gate core gates that goes faster than light. They're like toll booths that scans your, I don't know, card, debit, credit, whatever card you have on your ship, and then just drains you. Yeah,
that's kind of what was happening.
Good scam.
So it's not a bad scam. So while all this is happening, Ed sees the chess piece and starts fiddling around with a bunch of wires and is promptly, shockingly electrocuted. And is they think she's dead, and then they poke her with a stick and she's fine. So
Ed
this
is
got
so
me thinking.
Used to getting shocked. I would expect that.
So, but this has got me kind of thinking, is Ed indestructible? She ate the fried fungus.
The alien.
She got super zapped by this situation.
Yeah.
And she lived on the Earth's surface, which has been known to have daily meteorite showers for most of her life.
You forgot about one thing about the meteor showers.
You
can predict where the meteor will hit.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Still, though, I think Ed might be indestructible or has cartoon powers.
Cartoon powers. Talk it up on cartoon powers, man.
Much like how Spike survived the church.
Yeah, right. Spike survived the church. Yeah, what's that little shotgun to do to Ed? Right. Yeah,
So
fair. Which is worse, the grenade on Vicious's feet or Spike falling off the church? It's both
uh,
fatal, man. They
and they
both
both
survived.
survived. So
And we're
while the
worried about
conversation,
shock? No.
yeah. So the conversation continues, and Jet encourages her to play the cyber chess match when she's connected to the chessboard to the system, and Jet puts his piece on the board. Which, like, basically they're thinking, oh, maybe this will lead to something, maybe it won't, whatever. Give it a try, Ed. You're not doing much else. You may as well check this out. So she's connected and starts playing a game of chess with somebody named Chessmaster Hex. She doesn't really think it is any, but she doesn't think it has anything to do with this mysterious kingpin that they're looking for. On the other side of the board, an old man smiles and begins the game. So Jet makes his way to Gate Corp HQ to have a chat with the CEO and runs into an old bounty hunter buddy named Jonathan. Now Jet ribs him about the case and is warned by Jonathan that the case is deeper than it seems.
Question for you.
Yep.
So how does Jet just casually walks up to Gate Core and talk to the CEO?
Well,
Cop influence?
maybe ex-cop influence. Maybe the CEO will give interviews to bounty hunters who are looking for more information on the case.
Possibly. All right. Yeah.
So while in his office, Jet lights a cigarette and is told to put it out, which he does in a potted plant, naturally. So he calls out the CEO by saying that the robberies were planned in advance and that he knows more than he's let on. But of course, because he took that, tact of being more aggressive, he's told to leave and focus on the bounties. It turns out that Jet's cigarette was a bug that was left for him to listen while he waits for a ship to be returned from the parking garage. So he learns that the mastermind is named Chessmaster Hex, connected to the game that Ed is playing. Sorry, and it connects the game that Ed's playing to the overall story. As Jet learns this, so does Jonathan, who's waiting around the corner.
Oh,
I catch.
They're on it together.
Well, no, they're not in it together. Jonathan was just eavesdropping.
Okay.
Jonathan's a rival bounty hunter. Back on the ship, Spike and Faye analyze the chess piece, only to find more chess data. And Jet radios in with the information on the mastermind. Obviously, Ed's busy with her game, and when she has a checkmate option, she chooses to take her opponent's rook instead. There go, prolonging the game, much to Chessmaster Hex's delight. So Spike reads off the mastermind of Chessmaster Hex, and rather than trying to paraphrase it, I'm just gonna read it. So, Chessmaster Hex is estimated to be 98 years old, a programmer that had been dubbed a genius from his teens. In the CosmoNet chess tournaments, he held the champion's seat for decades. He applied his intellect to the Hyperspace Gate project, joining the program at 30 years of age. He eventually developed the central control system that all gates use to this day. But after that, he started to have doubts. He said the design had defects and the gates shouldn't be built yet. He wanted to run some more tests. So they fired him and built the gates anyway. And he's been missing for the last 50 years. So when Faye tries to get Ed's attention in hopes that she'll search out this mastermind, we get Feral Ed. And as we all know, Feral Ed is Best Ed.
Best Ed. Yep.
So when Spike mentions his name, Ed says that Chessmaster Hex is who she's playing with right now. And this lets the team track the person through the game to a giant space junkyard filled with gate parts and old ships. Now, after some really cool ship exploration, Spike and Faye find a place to touch down and begin exploring on foot. Surprised to find that the area that they've been exploring is fully pressurized.
Yeah. What?
Now Faye is able to track down the game's signal and zeroes in on where Chessmaster Hex is hiding. While exploring, they find a bunch of animals, plants, and people just chilling. and floating around in zero G. And what they come across is basically a hippie commune in space.
Hey, man. Not hating on it.
No, not at all. They find Hex and confront him, only to find out that he's gone completely senile, with chess being the only real thing that he can focus on. Now, Jonathan bursts in too, demanding the money from Hex, as he's one of the people who were hacked at the gate. Hex asks them all calmly if he can just finish his game. Now, our three favorite old men from episode 1 show up, and also in the Heavy Metal Queen episode, show up, and in their conversation, Hex's senility is confirmed, as he can't even remember eating lunch not that long ago. Obviously, Jonathan is sad, then pissed about losing his money, and just starts blasting. Spike knocks him out, no problem, because Spike's just built that way. Now, Faye wonders what to do about Hex. Clearly, he's not a problem or dangerous anymore. Now he's just an old man who wants to play chess. Back at GateCorp, Jet explains all of this to the CEO, along with the fact that the plan was set up 50 years ago by Hex to go into play during the first auto tech upgrade, but unfortunately Hex became senile and forgot about his plans or intentions with it. Now, Jet promises not to go public with all this info if they call off the bounty hunters and just leave the old man alone to play cyber chess. Now, Jonathan never left the commune and embraced the bohemian lifestyle.
Yeah!
A week later, so they've been playing the same game for a whole week. Ed finally loses her chess game to Hex, and he closes his eyes for the last time. And his pet bird drops some feathers next to his chess piece. What a lovely episode.
You know who reminds me of Chessmaster Hex's character?
Who's that?
Have you played Metal Gear Snake Eater?
Is it the sniper you're thinking of?
Nope. Yeah,
no,
the end, old man, the end, the sniper.
Yeah, the one where like if you don't do anything, you will just win eventually.
Let's change the date.
Yeah.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
This guy, I'm gonna rob you. I'm gonna rob you 50 years from now. I'm gonna be so rich. Bam. Senile.
Yeah. Yeah. In Snake Eater, don't you find the End's body? Like if you change the date and you can like rob his body?
Oh yeah, he's lying down. He's just like dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this definitely feels like a much lighter episode than the last.
Very.
You know, and it like I said, it's kind of a beautiful ending.
It is.
But again, the Bebop team did not get paid for doing the right thing.
Jet could have negotiated.
Oh, of course he could have. But I imagine that like the Bebop team is beginning to have quite the rep as capable bounty hunters.
Oh,
if you think about all the things that they've done, I'm surprised that there haven't been more bounties put out on them.
Well, I mean, the mere fact that there are multiple things that they say that they won't go public with, like this one, right?
Yep.
So how is their fame going to go out?
Well, right, they wouldn't go public with that, but I'm just thinking about all of the other situations that the adventures of the Bebop team have had all over the universe so far, and the people that they've dealt with, and the catastrophes they've averted.
What do you think is the most what is the case that you think made them,
the most famous?
The most fame. I'd say the space eco-terrorist.
Well, yes, but also I think the in jamming with Edward, Edward knew about them by that point. Edward was a fan of theirs.
Because
by the time they came back to Earth,
to something that not everyone has.
It's true. But and in that episode, they saved um the ship that had made the computer that made the carvings.
Right.
They were the ones who did that and brought it to light that it was an AI,
the lonely AI.
right? I mean, I think that would be one that would definitely bring
Yeah.
them a lot of fame. Heavy Metal Queen, Spike figured out
Who
the
she was.
Queen's who
Real
VT
name.
was.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so many different Sympathy for the Devil. They took down that devil character. Like there's so many of these things that they're starting to do and they're starting to amass. Like
But
as
I think nobody knew about the devil, like the
the
kid.
kid, the
Yeah.
kid that lived forever. Maybe not. But yeah, I'm just thinking that their reps got to be growing.
Oh yeah. On the galactic level.
Mm-hmm. So the shots from all the chess matches that we see throughout the episode are actually like shots from famous chess matches in history. So when Hex played Deep Blue in the like screenshot in the flashback, it was actually between a guy named Paul Morphy and another guy named Adolf Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
I guess these are like famous chess matches. And when Hex played against Ed, it was the same as like the game from Paul Morphy again, a guy named John William Schulten.
I haven't seen these names for a very long time. Holy crap.
But like, you know these names?
I used to play a lot of chess when I was younger.
Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, I learned something new about you.
Yeah.
Obviously, the title is the name of a Queen song.
Yep.
And there's a lot of exposition needed in this episode. And it felt a little bit more complicated than it needed to be.
I agree.
But at the same time, like that level of attention to detail really made this whole episode feel like there was a lot of texture. So again, like it doesn't seem like a whole lot happened, but it was a very texture heavy episode.
It was.
And as always, it's just making us more stoked for the next one.
To be honest, if there's one winner in this episode, you know who that is?
Who's that?
Jonathan.
Yeah, he found a place to belong.
Dude, when that happened, I was like, not everyone's a loser in this. Jonathan, like, yeah.
Jonathan seems pretty stoked.
Jonathan won. Like, I don't know with
you
guys.
So, obviously, in the next episode, we will be covering My Funny Valentine and Black Dog Serenade, which are the next two sessions. We, as we are sitting, have no idea where this is going to go and what's going to happen, but obviously, we're very excited. Do you have anything else you want to cover before we wrap this episode up?
Nothing much. I'm just gonna plug some new stuff, like, you know, to our listeners. If you're listening to this, obviously you like anime to some degree. There's a lot of new stuff coming out. Kaiju number 8, it's on Crunchyroll.
Yeah, I started reading the manga. I didn't finish it.
Seems pretty cool,
okay.
Man.
All right.
What else? Yeah, keep an eye on that one. I started watching Faraway Paladin. It's pretty interesting. Pretty nice, and yeah, that's about it. And spring is here.
Hopefully. Maybe it's actually here this time.
Yeah, it was raining all day here.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. We're delusional, but yeah, we appreciate some sun.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. Take us home, bud.
Fantastic. Well, if you are digging what we're doing here at Helga House Productions, and you just can't seem to get enough, there's two things you can do. Number one, I started streaming again. I don't really have a set schedule yet, but if you kind of dig the vibes here, feel free to check out my stream. I'll be there at twitch.tv/walkstars with a Z, WALKSTARZ. I don't really have a schedule right now because life and work are very hectic, and I kind of stream when I can. So check that out. The best way to get notifications about those lives is obviously to follow me on Twitch. So I'm not going to tell you to do that, but you might just enjoy it if you like what we're doing here. And if you really, really like what we're doing here, I'm going to invite you to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Helga House. There you're going to find a couple exclusive episodes. You'll find extended and uncut episodes of all of our shows here at Helga House Productions. And if you're listening to the show and you're really enjoying it, feel free to follow us on any of the platforms you're listening to us on. And if you're watching this on YouTube, then subscribe to the channel and leave us a nice comment, because that's all we can really ask for. Yeah. So thanks again for listening or watching, wherever you are. And hopefully we'll catch you in the next one.
Yeah. Ciao.
The real fabulous 本当の悲しみが知りたいだけ泥の代わり
This show was proudly produced by Helga House Productions. And for more shows like the one you just listened to, visit helgahouse.com.